You're good.
All right. Hey everybody, I'm Mike, an alcoholic and a drug addict. My sobriety date is December 26th, 1995. I'm going to tell a little bit what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now for me. Some of the first memories I have of drinking or using, I think I was about 10 years old, and I stole some pot from my sister, took it to her boyfriend. I see a 10-year-old now, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of young. And I actually was smoking pot. Middle school, drinking, smoking pot, stealing, skipping school. My parents are divorced. My mom worked 2 jobs, so I pretty much got to run the streets and have the free reign of the house. Always seemed to get in trouble. I was the kid in the neighborhood that I'm sure most parents said, don't hang around that Mike Miller kid. I kind of wore it like a badge of honor. I was the hoodlum. And, we would take our parents' liquor, water it down. I have a memory of watering my mother's rum down so much that I wouldn't even drink it anymore. Back then we just, we hung out at the house, we went roller skating. I think by middle school, I was pretty much full blown. Everybody was taking their parents' drugs and alcohol. We would meet at my house. There were parties. Started to get into, before high school, got into a couple brushes with the law. I was actually, I think 8th grade, stole my mom's car. And by this time she had had enough of me getting in trouble. She actually told me I had to go live with my dad or I was going to end up going to juvenile. So I'm like in the 8th grade. I called my dad and he said, come on down. He lived in Orlando, Florida. So I thought it was going to be pretty cool. I'm going down to sunny Florida from South Carolina. Disney World, SeaWorld. I'd been down visiting him. He was an enabler too. He drank. I don't know whether he was an alcoholic or not, but I can still remember it was 9th grade. I would have parties at my house. He would allow drinking. My house was the house to hang out. We had a pool table, a dartboard. It's like a little bar for teenagers in the garage. Built-in swimming pool in the back. Lots of weed, lots of drinking. I seemed to stay out of trouble some while I was there. On my 16th birthday, my dad said, get on your bike and go get a job. So I don't know if he was ever serious or not, but I came home with a job. I was a fry cook at Captain D's or something, making hush puppies. I was proud of myself. Good work ethic. But within a year, I bought a car. Now, I'm in high school. I have my own car. My dad still makes me ride the bus to school. I have a past of ditching school and doing all this other stuff. So I just rolled with it. We would get home from school and we surfed. So everybody would, pile in my car after school and we'd go to Cocoa Beach and, I think it was more weed then, but we, smoked weed and surfed and, ate at Burger King. So a few years there, drinking, partying. I think I had it out with my stepmom, and she pulled me to the side and said, I remember the words clear as day. She said, I don't like you. I know you don't like me. And I don't want somebody in my house that doesn't like me. So I called mom back up and I was, back to South Carolina. And it really went bad. The drinking, the weed, and you started with the cocaine. This is all like in high school. So I was just out of control. We were getting in trouble with the law. I got kicked out of my senior year of high school. Kicked out of my house. Had to get an apartment, try to hold the job. And my recovery started pretty early. I was in my early 20s, so all this happened really quick. And so by the time I was, I think 19, I was arrested for armed robbery. that was a pretty serious and scary time. Some stuff happened and they dropped it down to something else, and I got a few years probation and hundreds of hours community service. But I remember being in jail. It was just the county jail, and my parents came up with some bail money, and I said, "No, leave me in here." I went there because while I was in there, I decided that I needed to quit drinking, quit doing drugs. So I would rather sat in jail where I couldn't get it, because I knew what I was going to do if I got out. I was going to go back and party and go back to drinking. And I eventually got out, and I did. I did. That didn't get me sober. I had a motorcycle, put it in a ditch and went through a chain link fence, compressed some vertebrae in my back, split my head open. I remember being in a recliner with a broken leg, saying that was it. I'll never drink again. A week later, I'm in the bar with my crutches, drinking. Still didn't realize, that I couldn't quit. Around that time, I started to hit a couple of AA meetings. I think I was about 21. So I was like 26 when I got sober. So I literally, I knew once I started anything, I couldn't stop till it was gone. I was passed out or what have you. What I didn't know is that I was powerless and didn't have control over that first one. I still then told my brain, and it told me, we could quit if we really wanted to. But I set out on a mission, even going to meetings, to give up the drugs and learn how to drink. Those AAers, I was going to take what they had, learn how to drink, and just not do the drugs. And I couldn't. I'd have one beer, and then I was off to the races looking for all the other stuff that I like to do. And I literally, in 4 years of going to meetings, and I would go to the same meeting to pick up white chip after white chip. I told this when I was sharing the other day at my birthday. I would get 30 days. I would go out. I would get 60 days. I would get 2 weeks. As soon as I felt better and I had a little money in my pocket, I was back off to the races, shaking my head, saying, "What's wrong with me?" The time came that I said, I do need to quit. And that was the eye opener. I couldn't. I would leave a meeting, go drink, and say, "What the hell is wrong with me?" I literally thought something in my brain was broken. It was tough. I still continued to relapse and relapse and relapse. And I just thought I was going to die. I was the one group that everybody kept asking me, all these old timers were sitting over there. How was it? Did it get any better? And I just mumbled "F you" under my breath, and they would laugh. I can remember one time relapsing because a new beer came out. Bud Ice. Oh, it had so much more alcohol in the content. And so I had to try it, The insanity and the sickness in my way of thinking I look back now and I see how crazy it was. While I was going through it sucked. Quitting anything, getting sober, it's hard, it sucks. It was easier just to go back at it. Something I knew that was miserable and more comfortable than all this other stuff. I remember thoughts like, what do people that are sober do for fun? Like what I was doing was fun, getting locked up and puking and wrecking, breaking bones, splitting my head open. But what do people do for fun? The guys that had the 20 years sober, they did not have the same problem I had. It was impossible, because if I couldn't stay sober, because I got good grades, so I considered myself pretty smart, and my willpower was strong when it came to anything, except for alcohol. But at the time, I didn't know that. I was like, with brains and willpower, how can I be powerless over a liquid? Remember, so I would go to meetings. I'd be the last one in, first one to leave, and I got drunk and high. So I go back to the meeting. I said, well, maybe I won't be the last one to leave or last one to get there and first one to leave, but I'm not going to share. I'm not going to get a sponsor. I'm not going to work steps. Got drunk and high. I said, shit. So And you can see where this is going. Went back to the meetings, but okay, maybe I'll share, but I'm definitely not going to work those steps or chair meetings or read any of the stuff when they call me to read. Got drunk and high. I remember my brain was so sick and I was so selfish. I would not get the last cup of coffee because I wasn't going to make a coffee pot for the rest of them. I'm like, who think that's the opposite of service work? I was super selfish. What's in it for me? So finally, it came to a breaking point, and I was willing to do anything. You hear people say, "Oh, if they told me to go stand on my head in the corner, I would do it." And that's the willingness for me that I had to have. I had to be willing to go to any length. Everything I had tried didn't work. And even then it was hard. So I got a sponsor, started working steps. After 90 days, they let you chair meetings. So he was like, "You're going to chair." I'm like, "Okay." To this day, when people say, "Hey, can you share? Can you do this?" If I can physically do it, I'm right here. I'm doing this, so that with all these years of sobriety, I still have that same brain. It says, "Hey, Mike, go take a drink." There's no defense against that first one. Right now, a lot of times, the only thing between me and getting drunk and high is a higher power, which, I found through working in the 12-step programs. There's I'm not a big book thumper or this is the only way. I see people get, sober through church. People just quit on their own. However it works for whoever, bless them. But for me, I had to work the steps, which totally changed me. I did them the best I could at the time. Didn't want to pray. My said, throw your shoes underneath your bed when you go to bed. So when you get up in the morning, you got to hit your knees to get them and just say a quick prayer while you're down there. So I'm like, okay. So I did that, and that's how I started. It seems weird to think that back then I was embarrassed in a room by myself to pray. I mean, I wasn't embarrassed to be out on the streets, scoring and driving drunk and puking on people's stuff. But who's embarrassed to pray? These are some of the changes that have happened, working the steps and getting sober and getting clean. My sponsor gave me a list of 3 or 4 things to do every day. It was like, go to a meeting, call him, pray, read your big book. I don't remember the 4th. And I'll be damned if most days I would miss one of those things. And I'm like, how hard is it to do 4 things? I was sick. Today I do what I do, and it almost comes natural. I go to beginners meetings. There's one I go to every Sunday night. And I actually went to 2 last week when I picked up my 26-year chip for 2 reasons. To remember where I came from, because I bitch and moan about struggles I have now. Getting sober was the hardest thing I ever did. I got to remember some of those feelings, some of those emotions, some of the things I had to do that I felt uncomfortable doing. And the other is to give hope. When I picked up my medallion, I'm like, who sober, between Christmas and New Year, I gave that little thing. 3 people picked up a white chip at that meeting. I cried. I was like, not like boohoo cry, but I had tears, and that's okay. Because that was something, back in the day, it was a hard ass. You don't cry. I don't care. I thought my tear ducts were broken, because I was mean. I was an asshole. I didn't care about anybody's feelings. That's just the way it was. Now I cry during TV commercials when they show the puppies in the shelter. I think so. Feelings still are hard to deal with sometimes, but I know that I have to deal with them. So I got a sponsor. I worked the steps. I was taking meetings. There were things he was like, "You're going down to the hospital to carry the message," and I'd be like, "Okay." You're going to chair meetings. You're going to do service work. You're going to stay after and clean up and stack chairs. All these things I didn't know at the time, but were teaching me not to be so selfish. So, I put me first in a lot of things, but a lot of things I'll put other first. I can't mess around with my sobriety or whatever, but to do without, or just give away my lunch and I'll be okay, till dinner time, or to help other people. It's the people in the parking lot that need money to get their car fixed and get home or whatever. I know they're using 99% of the time they're scamming for drugs or whatever. But if I have $5, I get $5. Bless them. So things that I do today, a lot of praying. I still go to meetings. People are like, been sober, 20 something years, you still gotta go to meetings? I'm like, yes. I don't change things that are working. I still have a conscious contact with a higher power. I still have to review my day. There's still days that I have to say, oh shoot, maybe I wasn't so nice. The asshole creeps back in. And I go, hey man, sorry for being whatever, didn't even realize it or whatever. But I still have to keep my side of the street clean. I know if I don't do the things that I do on a daily basis, there's a chance. Hell, there's a chance if I do all that stuff. But I increase my odds. I'm not a gambler, but I like to bet on my sobriety by doing the things that have worked, not just for me, they've worked for other people. I've sponsored people. Some are still sober. Some got drunk. In the 12-step programs, we're just here to help other people. They reach out for help. We're supposed to be here. Somebody was there when I was here. It was a funny thing when I got people that I was drinking and using with kind of disappeared. Years later, one or two would pique interest and say, hey, what are you doing? Are you still, and they would come to a couple meetings and leave or whatever. So, but I made all new friends, and that's all I hung around with sober people. I knew because of my past, when I tried it, I would go, well, I'm just going to go shoot pool at the bar. I would drink. I was lying to myself. So a lot of people that I know have died from this disease. Sometimes I think, why did I get so lucky? And may never know. But I've had, gone on 12-step calls. I've gone to funerals. That the disease is taking people. One of my best friends that I first got sober with died with a needle in his arm. It's pretty serious. I don't take life too seriously today, but the disease is serious. I mean, it's deadly. And I've seen recently, somebody in our community, everybody was mourning the loss of somebody that was in our circle. I want to be just that one beacon of hope. That somebody can say, that's me. I felt that way, or the same thing happened to me. I listen to people speak, and I don't relate to every single body, but I can always take something out of it, whether it was, a DUI, putting a car in a ditch, the way we felt different when we were young. I had a bad complex. Going into the ninth grade, I was 4'11" and 84 pounds. I was the smallest kid in high school. I'm almost 6 foot now, like 180. So I did grow. I think I grew a foot in a year, but I was the little kid. So I try to look back and say what caused me to be an alcoholic, or, every now and then I'll like, could it have been different, or, but I don't spend a lot of time on that, because what happened. Amends have been made through working the steps. So, there's no blame of what happened to me. It was all somebody's fault. Today I made choices. The choices I made had consequences. But yeah, still go to meetings, still share, still live the steps, still pray to a higher power that I don't understand. Went through a profound change working the steps. Totally different person. Problems I have today are, I don't think I really have any. My mind might say something's a problem, but it's not. Car breaks down, something needs a repair, water heater went out, it's just stuff. When you come back from hell, everything is just, it's all stuff. But I hope somebody can get something out of that. Thanks.